And now I will say the words for extinguishing the chalice, which will be shown on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And we're going to save our farewells and announcements until after our congregational meeting, and we'd like to be able to start that right now. So I'd like to invite David, our president, to come on up and lead the way.
Thank you, everyone, for staying for the annual meeting. I promise a couple of things. I promise we're going to be as brief as we can. There will be time for some questions and answers to things, and there's certainly time after the meeting, too, for longer questions if you'd like to dig into things deeper. And I have several thank yous to start with, and then I'm going to share some bad news, some worse news, and then some good news. So that's the structure of my remarks, and we're going to have our treasurer, Ed Welp, looking at the budget with us, too, in a little bit. First, I want to thank the tech crew for staying around and helping us with all of our audio and visual needs, and also getting people on Zoom, because we have people on Zoom. If you have questions, those of you on Zoom, if you could type those into the chat, and we'll try to recognize those when we have chance later in the meeting. And everyone else who's helping us today with worship services. What an incredible service. Can we give them another round of applause? I'm heartened by the music and the message today. Really, really beautiful all around. So I also want to thank those on the nominating committee who've put the slate of our candidates forward for us, and you should have seen those in the email from Susie. Also the board of directors, the hardworking board, has been constantly working on all these things, and I'm really so moved by the dedication and the work of everybody on that. And then Finance Committee, which has been incredible. Finance Committee has been meeting every Wednesday. Let that sink in. Every Wednesday, Finance Committee has been meeting. That's a 400% increase in Finance Committee meetings. I can do math in my head a lot better because I hang out with Ed Welp a lot, so I know numbers a little better. Our staff, Reverend Viola, Reverend Mark, Crystal, Tracy Brune, and Susie Gullickson, our office administrator, have also worked really hard to get us things. If you need a paper copy of either the budget or of the voting, you can do the voting electronically, but you can also do it by paper. We also have pledge forms in here. We're still taking pledge forms. We're not going to say no to those. Anytime someone hands me a piece of paper, I unfold it and look for a check. That's what I'm mostly doing. And we have done a great job with our pledges on one level, that we've raised more money than we ever have with our pledges. Your pledge, yes. Your pledge is your promise for what you can do financially in the next year for the church, and that's how we make our budget. If the pledges don't support the vision of the congregation, then we have a shortfall budget, which is what we have. And that's my first piece of bad news, is that we have had to make cuts to the budget. These are cuts that have really physically hurt to do, and I did not want to see them happen, and I do hope that if additional pledges can come in to a certain level, we can talk about making restorations to some of those budget elements. But we had to make some tough cuts that we will talk about. So the larger difficult news that we're grappling with is when we think about the year 2026. And let me be clear, this is a difficult thing for our church to face, that we are looking at a financial picture when the payments on the mortgage for the Hague School, our former building, what was UCN, when those payments end in 2026, we're looking at a huge budget shortfall. And so that iceberg on the horizon is what we're sailing toward. This is why Finance Committee is meeting 4 times a month now. So that emergency situation is something that we're really trying to address, and we need the biggest brains in our congregation on this, which we've put a lot of those together on the nominating slate, and we need everyone to be helping and thinking about that financial future. So I will also say that I'm happy to speak to anybody about any questions you have. That's email, text, phone, in person. I'm really happy to talk about this beloved church. It's a great, great place. I remember my daughter's bridging ceremony, and it was inspiring to see that again today. I want also to mention that on your slate for voting, you have a couple of other things. You have a number of candidates, and I want to mention them in particular in a minute. And I also want to mention that we have an affinity group, Civic, Stacia Sanders, and Nev O'Connell are representing this group. And I'll give them a chance to speak about this if they would like. But they're getting affinity status for their group, and that's something else you can vote about. Is that something you all would like to do? Stacia, I didn't get a chance to talk to you before the service. If you'd like the microphone and you'd want to speak, you're welcome to it. Otherwise, everything in the voting can be good. She's giving me thumbs up, so I think we'll just reserve questions for her that you may have later and read what's on your letter. So 2 members were not able to be here today, nominees on the nominating committee, and I wanted to show their pictures quickly. Many of them are known to you, but Jiffy Shore is standing for election as vice president, and Annalise Brock is a candidate to be on our finance committee. The other members are all spelled out in the letter. I won't belabor things by reading their biographies, other than just to say thank you for your service and for standing for this. And that is all that I have to say before we turn to the budget and then questions that people have. And then we'll head for the social hall and we'll be able to let the tech crew go. I want to turn to Ed Welp, and if we can pull the budget up, we'll let Ed talk a bit about that, and I'll look in the chat from Zoom to see what people have.
Okay.
Oh, wait, one more thing. Ed and Judy Welp just celebrated 55 years of marriage. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you, David. That's because I'm so easy to live with. David talked about the cuts. Let me talk specifically how we did the budget this year. We're looking at basically what we spent last year. We're giving a 2% raise, which is not much, and we're also allowing 2% inflation for all expenses. And if we look at our budget, most of it is fixed. We've got salaries and we got this building, utilities and stuff. All the other programming stuff really is a small percentage of our budget. And so when we're looking at cuts, we're basically looking at those big things we do. So in terms of where we had to cut, first thing we had to do was our Director of Faith Life Development, Mark's position, we had to cut some hours there down to 21 and a half hours from 25. We've had to cut community table from 6,500 to 4,500. A big one, yeah, none of this was easy. This was a difficult board meeting, to say the least. We cut our UUA dues in half to what we were paid. We were paying 50% of our fair share allotment. Now that's down to 25%. And one non-budget, really that's budget neutral, we've changed our staffing a little bit. Tracy's position, we've split that in half, where it's now going to be half-time communications coordinator, and then we're adding a membership coordinator to help us retain all the new people that we're getting a lot of new people in, but that's kind of to help us to retain that. So that's in a nutshell where we are with the budget. And if anybody has any questions, we can go from there. David?
And I know that there were a couple who were going to help with microphones. I think Ken and Julia had said they could help the tech crew with microphones. And so if you need a microphone to ask a question, I'd like to turn things over to the congregation now and start that conversation. We can certainly have individual conversations later too, but I'd be happy to take any from the floor that Ed or I can answer about budget or nominating committee or civic. If civic would like a chance to speak, they're certainly welcome to come up and speak too. So raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll try to get a microphone to you. I see a couple of hands up. I'm not sure I see Ken or there's Julia. Okay, good. And if there's a candidate for UU sainthood, I think Doug Throp is on the short list. Let's give him a round of applause.
I want to ask a question about the communications budget. If we're proposing cutting that in half, are we prepared to have half as much work done that's currently being done? Are we talking about deleting the newsletter or something else that's taking up part of her hours?
That'll be a decision, you know, that our minister who manages the staff will have to make. But yeah, obviously can't do everything we were doing before. Oh, go ahead, yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there will probably be some modification in what's been doing. Like, for example, the slides for Sunday, that will probably be something that I take on a little bit more of, and Crystal as well. A lot of times we do that anyway. And it may be that some things might fall, non-essential things might fall back to volunteers, but the decision was made that we're really struggling because we don't have a membership professional. And many churches, pretty much all churches that experience growth and retention have a membership professional who's specifically devoted to engaging visitors and cultivating them to become members, and also making sure that we don't lose members. Because we have enough people that people who join us disappear, and we don't really have someone who's really focusing on that. So this will help us in that regard. Best practices in terms of congregational staffing is that pretty much you have a membership coordinator. Some congregations have a minister if they're big enough and they have a large enough budget. To focus on that. So it may be that we may not get some things as frequently as we would like, and it may be that some things are going to fall back to some of the volunteers, but I think what hopefully we will gain from having someone who's focusing on membership growth and retention will ultimately bring us to a place where we can have not just a communications coordinator who's working more hours, or perhaps even a membership coordinator and other staff. We need people to help with worship. We can't afford to pay for someone during the summer months. It's really hard with the complications now of having this technical part of our service. So we do have a lot of staffing needs, but the only way we can get there is if we focus on growth and retention.
There are a few other hands that are up. I want to get the microphones to them. Julie Hurst.
Hi. First, I have two things. I would like to thank the board for the just amazing job they've done for us all year, and especially these last painful months. And I know it hurt you. I know it hurt you. And I thank you for the hard work that you did. And my second part is a question about the school and its affiliate status. And I think it was described as an affiliate member with the rights and privileges that are described in the bylaws. Now, Amy gave me a little assistance with this, but could you explain that for us? Because I didn't see it in the bylaws, what the rights and privileges of an affiliate organization are.
Right, and I do think that they're poised to come speak to us, so maybe we could hear from them first and then address that. So, Nev and Stacia, would you like to come up and talk to the congregation?
Good morning. So, as a reminder, you have to stand right next to me. I am Nev O'Connell, and this is Stacia. Everybody knows Stacia. First of all, in our affiliate status, we are not asking for any kind of monetary funding or help. So after talking about the budget, I just want to make that very clear that we are not looking for any kind of monetary help from CVUU. I do want to very quickly thank the CVUU community for your support this year, as well as Rev Viola, Susie, Sally, Ann, Tasha, who else? Amy, Rev Mark. A lot of people have been behind the scenes, and we have been a quote-unquote rental this year here at CVUU, and we have felt very welcomed and encouraged to seek this affiliate status. So, very quickly, CIVIC stands for Coastal Virginia Inclusive Community of Homeschoolers, and we chose that name specifically because of CVUU's Coastal Virginia Unitarian Universalists. When we started this, we wanted to be affiliated with CVUU. And our mission is to provide homeschooling opportunities and engagement where we focus, not even focus, where we center Black Lives Matter, we center voices of the people of the global majority, as well as queer voices as well, lifting up own voices, letting people speak for themselves and for their community. Right now, we are a very small group of 8 families. I think about half of us are CVUU members, and we have
Maybe a little more than that.
yeah, maybe a little more, or at least if they aren't members of CVUU, they are participating in CVUU events. And really what we are looking for in our affiliate status is to help build bridges, because the second reason that we chose the name CIVIC was because although it is CVIC, it is really CIVIC. We would like to be able to bridge our homeschoolers and the Hampton Roads community to us, and we know that there are already a lot of great extensions, I can't think of the words, like you guys, the CVUU community is already engaged, and we would like to not only piggyback but also bring in additional opportunities for us to engage, as well as an intergenerational engagement. We have a bunch of, I think my oldest will be a senior, but most of our students right now are 15 and under. And so we would like to provide a homeschooling space for CVUU members, as well as engagement with the Hampton Roads community. Does anybody have any questions about who we are?
Carol's still shaking her head.
Are the rights and privileges that you receive
We don't
according
know.
to the bylaws?
So right now, we don't know. We aren't receiving any right now. And so that's why we're seeking the affiliate status. And honestly, right now, we're not even quite sure what the affiliate status means, like in terms of just being more than renters. We do not want to be just renters. We want to be part of the CVUU community. And the bylaws, I don't know if somebody can help me on this. I'll be happy to take it. We're done. We're going to step back.
There is, I believe, a reduced rate for rentals for that. Also, it's that we are affirming that this is a group whose values are parallel to ours. So I hope that answers your question. Can we go to Steve in the back, I believe? Steve, one of my mentors. Thank you very much for your leadership, Steve, as board president.
Thank you. Thank you, board. So a couple quick questions. How many members have not pledged yet. Do we have a number?
I knew that number from about 10 days ago, and we still had, I think, something like $30,000 in outstanding pledges that could come in, and we have pledge forms waiting ready for you right up here. I also have a pen.
So you answered two questions. What was the outstanding amount? So that 30K, will that get us to the proposed budget?
Well, we don't have it, but yes.
If we got it.
It could get us to all kinds of places. It would more than get us there.
Okay, so to our math wizard, Ed, who is a great financial mentor, if all the folks that already had pledged increased their pledge by 1 or 2%, how close would that get us to the 30K?
It gets us closer. Like David was mentioning, our problem is not this year.
Yes.
Our problem is in the years out. So we definitely need to build our membership, and we need to, continue to grow. So it's not just patching holes in this budget is not our problem here, if I'm kind of talking over you a little bit.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
But yeah, and the other thing, that 30,000, what we don't know is who's moved away, who's no longer attending. Those are kind of hard things to nail down. So we don't know what those,
Okay, thank you.
what that potential is out there.
There may be some other questions out there. I do want to bring up the Stewardship for Us slide that I'd shared with you all. The Stewardship for Us is an organization through the UUA, and we have engaged them to come and work with us for a weekend, what they call the Next Steps Weekend. And they're going to come here and take a look at our church's larger financial picture and do an inventory of everything, our insurance, our mortgage. They're going to talk to Finance Committee, key members of the congregation and the staff, and take a deep dive into everything financial, because they have a vested interest in seeing the only Unitarian Universalist church in Southampton Roads. Let that sink in. We're a force in this community in a very difficult election year. So we're working hard to be the force we are in this community. And they're going to come take a look in September. September 29th is the date where they'll be a part of the service to the congregation and make recommendations for what they believe we should do for the financial health for long distance future of this congregation. I'm looking for other hands to go up. I did not see any in the chat, but Elisa Dickin.
Oh, thank you all for everything you have done this year. It's been a great year. And looking to the future, in Divide, I want to go back to the membership person that's being hired, a professional membership person. How does one go? Is that part then become part of Tracy's job, since hers is cut in half? Does that added on to hers, or will there be an advertisement for that position? Can it be somebody from the congregation?
So I know Reverend Viola would probably, who's in charge of staff, and as the board is in charge of other church governance matters, but Reverend Viola is in charge of staff. She's the first person who should speak to that, I think.
Okay. If it's something that Tracy wants, she can have it. There's nothing about that. The thing about this position is it's going to require the person to actually be working at least, they get off one Sunday a month, so they'd have to be at every church service, greeting people when they come in the door, engaging folks who are visitors. They need to be at our special events. So for example, Fabulous First Friday, we would have had somebody at the concert. Whether or not it's a person who's a membership might be who's already a member might be a little difficult, because what would happen is they would really lose their church. So they would be working, and when they would want to be doing stuff with other people in the congregation. So it would probably not be someone who's already a member of the congregation. If we don't find anybody, then maybe it might be, but it's not necessarily a good idea. That person would have access to a lot of different information about people that some people who are in the congregation might not want other people knowing about them. So there's that issue too. So
Opportunity to, if a person is in the church and knows people already, it's a way to keep people. So I'm just throwing that out.
It is.
Yeah.
That's also one other way to look at it. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And the other question, I don't think it quite got answered. I may have misheard you, Steve. How many people have not yet pledged who are members?
We're still getting the numbers on that, but I think it's in the teens of pledging units, families, members
Yeah.
that are still outstanding. But again, some of those may have left the area, or and we're still trying to reach them and get in touch with them about the pledge. Some
Okay.
have said they would do it and haven't done it yet, and we'd love for you to do it. I see one hand up in the back, Julia, right behind you. If Elisa, was that it? Okay.
And my next question, sorry, is the homeschool group. It's a reduced rental.
Yes.
Is that correct? So
That's
there's
correct.
still a rental
Yes.
piece to it and housekeeping piece to it, or?
I'm sure. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi. I'm not a member yet, but
We have forms you can sign.
okay, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And I love this place. I don't want to see it suffer, go down, get smaller. So obviously you want to expand, but you said you're going off a cliff in 2026 from loss of rent revenue.
No, I said there's an iceberg we're headed towards in 2026.
Right. So the Titanic. That's not good either.
Right.
So,
But the good thing about ships is you can steer them, and that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to do.
So what? But you haven't brass tacks. So how much will you need?
Around $100,000 more dollars a year.
$100,000 a year. Okay. All right. So. Okay. That's a lot.
It's a big iceberg. I agree.
So membership and retention that will help, but it sounds like you need some kind of other source of revenue.
I think you're right. And we're going to have to find ways to spend less money and to get more money. And that's part of what the stewardship for us
Okay.
is going to help us
Should-
take a look
you're
at.
gonna
But yeah,
need
it's a
to
big problem we all need to.
Brainstorm some stuff there,
Yes,
maybe.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd see another hand, a couple of hands up. Okay.
I just wanted to address one of the things regarding Civic being an affiliate as well, not to get a vote. But one of the reasons that we also want to be an affiliate is that we are well aware of what the Hampton, Stacia and I are extremely aware of what the Hampton Roads secular homeschooling community needs. And there is a great need out there. And so part of what we hope to do is to we started off small this year, and this coming 24-25 year, we would like to reach out more to the CVUU community as well as UU homeschoolers in the Hampton Roads area, and keep enlarging that circle, because there is a desert for secular homeschoolers that we are hoping that we can bridge, that will help bring in younger families and whatnot, that hopefully would help with membership as well. So.
I know a couple of other hands are up. Rick and Nancy Duncan in the back. Sally Daniels. Looks like Sally got it first.
Yeah, let me go first. Okay, viewers. This is your grumpy old woman. I've been here I've been here since the 80s, and I just want you to know that, every year Steve and I have tried to up our pledges. Now, up yours.
Sally also has a wonderful little free sermon, or maybe she can charge you for it, that if Unitarian Universalists had the concept of hell, we wouldn't have difficult pledge drives. And Rick had a hand up.
Hello, I'm Rick Peterson. We're talking about revenue. Why don't we charge for the coffee?
It has been discussed. Nancy has a microphone, I think, in the back.
One of the things I wanted to do is thank the nominating committee and the people who said yes, because it's when there's a lot of new people who haven't served before in important positions, and that is really a source of renewal. And so I'm just really excited about that. But another thing I've been thinking about a lot, being on the membership, and this could be seen as just my being defensive about membership and we're not doing our job. First of all, about 85% of our budget goes to the coffee hour. So we don't really have much of a budget for doing membership kind of things. But I wasn't going to talk about that until that came up. If we're having one person try to retain people, but not look at the bigger picture, and I'm hoping the board, or however that is done, is there something about the service that could be made more compelling? This is maybe something I shouldn't be saying, but what about the 2-hour gap between when church school starts and the regular service starts? Is that helpful or not helpful? We need to look, I think, at a number of different things that could affect the membership more than just somebody greeting and following up. And I say that as having been a member of the membership team for about 10 years. So sometimes, it's a multivariate world. There's just more than one thing
Absolutely.
that brings people in. That's
You're right
all I'm
about
saying.
that. You're right about that. And we appreciate everything that membership has done, and we know that there are a lot of great things happening. I think the vision when we got this building is that we were going to grow, and we really still need to grow for a bunch of reasons. We are the only Unitarian Universalist church in Southampton Roads, and we want to grow just because we believe in our principles and our message, and we believe that there's value in being part of this community. And more members will mean more pledges, and will mean we'll have a chance to not have a shortfall budget. So that's the big issue that we're looking at here. But we love every effort in membership that we've had, and we celebrate all of that work. But we need to do more. I'm looking for other hands that have come up, and I've got my eye on the clock. I promised a short meeting. If there are no further questions, we could retire to the social hall. Thank you all for the work you do for this beloved community. And there weren't any questions in the chat so that I saw. Were there any questions in the chat? Maxine, you're holding your phone up. No, I'm being waved off.
Tell people how to vote.
Oh, to vote. So voting opens at 11 on the link that you got from Susie, and will close tomorrow morning at 11. So we have 24 hours for electronic voting. We also have paper ballots up here for any who would like to use that. Thank you all for your support of CVUU. Thank you for coming to the annual meeting, and see you in the coffee hall.
We do have a few announcements, I think, so I'm going to let Julie start it off real quick.
Okay, let's spend some more money. Next week is the Father's Day picnic. We're going to benefit Community Table. I think that's first and foremost in my mind right now, that we need to fund Community Table. But for Father's Day, our cooks are providing a la carte items for a picnic. You can order them today, is the cutoff day, and pick them up next Friday. You can eat it here. You can bring a chair and a blanket and eat outside if it's nice, or you can take it home for your family. But please join us for the Father's Day. Take it with you, picnic. Yes, Pete?
Where do you pay the money?
You pay when you pick up your stuff. If you've already ordered, it'll all be totaled up for you. And we'll be able to swipe. And we'll have utensils and plates and everything if you want to eat here. Please join us, and I'll take your order forms right in here. And really, if you can't do it today, get my phone number from Susie. I'll take your call. Thanks.
Hi, can you hear me? My name is Wendy, and was asked to, in light of renewal, to revive the Buddhist Affinity Group. And I want to clarify sort of my dream and what I've been attempting to do. There's two pieces to this. Every second Monday of the month, we'll be having a group meditation. And so tomorrow night is the group meditation. It will begin at 6:30. I don't know how many of you meditate, but if you've meditated in a group, it's a wonderful experience because it just takes you much deeper into your spiritual practice. And it's a wonderful way of getting to know other people on a really deep level. The second piece that I'm working on and hoping will unfold is that we'll be doing Buddhist teachings once a month, and there will be one on June 22nd. It will be from 9, that's a Saturday, from 9:30, the third Saturday of the month from 9:30 to 11:30. And you don't have to be Buddhist to attend a Buddhist teaching. It's really about life and dealing with what we deal with here, which we talk about over and over here at CVUU, just about being in a human body and what it means and how to bring more joy into our life. So I hope that, you guys maybe somebody will come and create this meditation group, because it's a wonderful thing if you can begin to get a group going and really make it expand. It's a very powerful experience, and the teachings are really, really beautiful, and it just creates just much more joy in our life. So again, thank you for your time.
Hi, everyone. Just quickly reminding y'all that June 22nd, which is Saturday, is also the Norfolk Pride Fest. We have our volunteers filled up, but hope you all can swing by and say hi to us, and it's from noon to 7.
If that's it, the coffee hour begins.